Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm V. So today we are doing something really fun and really different. I was contacted by my new friend Cory over at Desert DIY. Now Cory does the most amazing work with furniture pieces. She will refurbish pieces, repurpose pieces, and she does really high quality work. She asked me if I wanted to do a collab with her. And in the collab, the challenge is we are to go to like a thrift store of some sort and find 5 pieces to flip. And then with one of the pieces, we are to use a Harlequin pattern. Then after we refinish all of our pieces, we are to decorate with those items in a French country manner. So that's what we're doing today. And I did find my 5 pieces, although I must admit, Cory, I am so sorry. One of my items was so easy, I feel like I'm cheating. However, because Cory does such amazing high quality work, I really put a lot of thought and effort into one of my pieces, and it is the best one. I saved it for last. I can't tell you how much I love it. So thank you, Cory, for reaching out to me. I so appreciate this opportunity. It's been a real honor to do this collab with you. And because of this collab, I now have a beautiful new furniture piece that I absolutely love in my dining room. So thank you, thank you. Now, if you're not following Cory over at Desert DIY, you're really missing out. I highly encourage that you jump over to her channel and give her a follow. You will be inspired, and I assure you, you will learn something new. I'm going to have her channel linked in my description. Please go over, show her some love, and tell her V with 2 twigs and a crown sent you. All right, friends, for those of you uninterested in the actual projects, but you really just want to skip ahead and see the reveal and the decorate, I'm going to insert the timeline right here where you can just fast forward and get to the fun part. All right, thanks for joining me. Let's get into today's video. For my 5th piece, I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for at a thrift store, so I went onto Facebook Marketplace and found exactly what I was looking for. I recognize this isn't very French country. However, this fox speaks French. Très bien. For time's sake and interest, I tried to just highlight parts of the project along the way. So I'm not filming every step, just trying to tell a story, but also keep things interesting and moving along. Those who follow my channel know that I like to use temporary contact paper. It's easy to stick on, doesn't leave any harmful residue, and it allows me to change out colors and patterns for the season. So that's what I'm using here. I thought about making this my quote Harlequin piece, but not really. That definitely would have been cheating. One thing to keep in mind when you're working with the painting project, whether it's a furniture piece or an item like this that already has some paint on it or stain, the tannins from that stain and color may seep through. And so you'll see some places where it'll bleed. Whenever it does that, I try the primer and stain blocker. And that, for the most part, helps lock in the tannins. So you may just, especially if you're doing a large furniture piece, go ahead and do a coat of that first before you do your painting, and then you won't have a problem to fix. But this piece here had some tannins seeping through, so I did have to apply that. I did it off camera and thought I'd share that tip with all of you. Whenever I apply glaze, I definitely make sure to dab it on either a paper plate, a paper towel, both. Try not to go in with too much of the glaze on the brush. It'll just create a big blob and then you'll have to fix it. So I really take time to make sure to get excess glaze off of the brush. You really don't want much on there, and it doesn't take much. The other thing I'd like to share or suggest is that you trust the process. I know it's scary going in with a really dark color, but that's what the paper towels are for. I'll have a dry paper towel, a damp paper towel, and as soon as I apply a dark color, I will gently go over it. The problem is you don't want to go over it too soon. You want to let it settle in a little bit, and then you want to use a dry paper towel at first. The only time I go in right away with a wet paper towel is when there's a problem and I want to immediately correct it. But that's the process. It's constantly going in, adding color, adding contrast, lightening it. I like to add shadow, but I don't want too much. I'm also trying to soften the lines. I don't want to see streaks. So, taking a paper towel to blot it and just, again, smoothing the lines out makes a huge difference. I just want to say you can't ruin a piece. So take heart and take courage whenever you tackle any kind of chalk painting project. You can't ruin it. You may have to go back and fix it or go over it, but I say have fun and just know that if you go in too dark, you can lighten it. And it's all about layering. Layering is key. It's going to add character, it's going to add dimension, and you can really have a beautiful piece. I think what I want to do to just kind of blend it so it's is just take that color and add some accents out here. All right, so I kind of went in a little too heavy there, dabbed it, but we're going to smooth that out. Again, using a wet paper towel. And then you just decide how much of this aging look you want. But if you can see, if you hold it lightly, you're just pulling that color out, and it's just adding nice depth to that look. I think it's looking really pretty. I may come in and lighten this. I don't know. I'm gonna add some gold first. So those colors are working for me. This is from the brown glaze. Love it. I'm going to add some black to it. And just the thing about chalk paint that's wonderful, you just keep layering it. So if you go in too strong, and then you can take watered down white or lighter color, go over it, wipe it off. You just do that, and it really creates beautiful depth to whatever piece you're working on. You can see that line there. Soften it. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. All right, I'm liking it. Now I want to just kind of go in with some gold. This is a softer, kind of warmer. It almost looks like a bronze gold. I think I'm gonna go in with that. The other golds that I have are just kind of the bright, you know, yellow gold. I don't want that. I just want it to be a soft color. If you can see that, it's really pretty color. It's a pretty gold. Just like with the black, I'm gonna dab it a little bit. I'm gonna lightly pull it over the edge here, elevate the look. Add it to the trim. I don't know if you can see that. I will take the camera in a little closer. Look at that handle, how pretty it looks now. It's pretty. The light will just hit it, and it's a very delicate metallic shimmer. It's really, really beautiful. I think I'm gonna get a riser so I can see it better as I paint. Hold on. I don't know if this is too much. Let's see if that'll work. That'll work. Okay. I think once I add some of the gold up here, I may go in with a little bit of a lighter color right in these little areas here, just to, it's so dark, I want to soften that a little bit. It's a little too dark. Okay, let's just go in. That's exactly the look I wanted. Very lightly going over the raised parts. We're basically adding a soft gold highlight. That's all we're doing. It's very soft. Beautiful richness. And we're gonna go in here and do the same. Can you see where all the different colors with a little bit of white, a little bit of that yellow, the gray is created when I brought in some black, mixed it in, the brown glaze, just all those different layers. And then when I go in with this gold, it is so beautiful. So the glue on this is really old and really hard. So I am going to have to cut and glue on some floral base that'll allow me to stick all the individual pieces of florals into it so I can create it in the shape I want. So I am not a florist. In fact, I've learned a lot of tips from other YouTubers. And basically, I like to go in at the center with the tallest piece. And then I use different shapes, trying to create like a circular shape so it kind of tapers downward. And then, you always want to use different types of greenery. You don't want to use just one type of greenery, but you want to use different colors of greenery. This will add dimension, it'll add interest. And then with the larger floral pieces like this one, I'll go in lower, and then I'll put a flower higher, and then another one lower, or the back side. You kind of want to create like a zigzag pattern. You don't want the flowers straight in a line, up and down or going sideways. Just, eyeball it, but try to make sure one goes up, you want to put another one down. And anyway, I hope that's helpful. Again, I'm not a florist, so maybe check out some other YouTube channels where they are a florist. You'll really pick up some great tips. If you're not really sure what florals go together, I suggest you do what I did, which is go to Home Goods and buy a bundle that's already together. That takes all the guesswork out of it, and you can just go ahead and use it as is. They have beautiful florals, and they also have bundles where they've picked everything for you, and all the flowers go together beautifully. How did we ever live without Home Goods? I can't tell you how excited I am to find this piece. For one, I have always wanted some kind of furniture piece with mesh, the wire that looks like chicken wire. I think it is so beautiful and definitely French country. And then for those who already follow my channel, they may remember that I mentioned our dining room is an awkward space, and it has a bay window, and the builder centered the chandelier, including the bay, which makes the square, rectangular part where the table is, the chandelier is off-centered. So I've been wanting to find like a corner cabinet of some sort just to fill the room up and hopefully bring more balance to the room. So I'm so happy to find this piece. And so yay. the easiest way to do Harlequins is to use a stencil. In fact, about 3/4 into this, I am like, why didn't I use a stencil? But the reason is I have more control with the frog tape, and I've used it many times and have had great success. With stencil, sometimes I would be surprised and there would be some blobs underneath, and the key is to not have too much paint on your brush. But I probably should have done the stencil, so please hear me when I say if you want to do this, buy a stencil. It'll save you time. I think the other reason I did my own is I wanted Harlequins slightly larger than what I was finding on Amazon. I'm sure if I'd taken more time to look, I probably would have found it, but I just moved on and created my own. I had done this before. By using chalk, you can just wipe it off and it's not a permanent marker. And then I use the yardstick just to keep my lines straight. Now the key with frog tape is you need to go in with a wet cloth and just wipe down the edge that will touch your paint. This creates it causes the adhesive to become wet, and then it creates like a barrier, and that's how it works. But if you don't put the moist cloth on it, it won't work. It will bleed through. So be sure after you tape it all down to use your wet cloth, and you should have success. And I'll show you how easy it is. We're going to peel it off right now. If you decide to make your own Harlequins, the thing I do is I really just mark the corners. I don't need to draw the entire Harlequin shape because the tape will create the straight line. So it's all about lining up the corners and making sure your Harlequins are straight. By using my pattern, I can draw several at a time, paint several at a time. As you can see here, I would skip the colors and just keep painting. It's definitely slower than a stencil. So have I mentioned you should use a stencil? You most definitely should. This may be obvious for many of you, but it may not be for some of you. So when I add contrast to a furniture piece, I look for places where there's like a dented piece. I don't think I'm saying that right. Obviously some of the paneling up top is raised, and then there are dents in the piece to add dimension. I like to go into the lower places and put my darker glaze just to add dimension, or really highlight that dimension and add more contrast. I also like to, when I'm adding glaze, look at the corners, like on the drawers or on the sides. I just kind of add a soft, shadowy contrast to the corners. And then I'll lightly add just a few brush strokes on the larger main areas of the furniture piece, just so there's some contrast. You know, if you ever look at just solid paint, it's really not that interesting. It's when you bring the glaze and you start adding dimension that really brings it to life. Since the outside of the furniture piece has some aging, I'm also going to add a light layer of glaze over the Harlequins. And that way it'll soften the lines and soften the look. You can kind of tell here on the right side, even though it's still wet and looks really streaky, the left side looks really harsh, but the right side already looks a little softer. It's like a hair toner, very light veil. I love the ribbon so much. And I noticed the ribbon, the gray, is a little bit darker. And so I thought I'd go in and try out one Harlequin to see if I liked the look of a darker gray. And I did. So what I did is I went back over all of the gray Harlequins and I applied more glaze on the outside lines while keeping the inside gray still intact. That inside gray is the exact color of my sideboard, so it does tie it together. And I'm going to show you my technique here. I really like the black that comes through the detail here. And so I'm gonna try to add some black up here. I may regret it, but not that it can't be fixed. It can always be fixed. I just want to get done at this point. And I think it's close enough where, you know, it would be fine, but I also know it's now or never. So here we go.